It has totally changed my mindset of who you are.
I hope I don't embarrass you with the praise that I'm going to shower you with.
Oh my God.
What I'm seeing here is a community that would be envy of any community in the world.
When you see all these things and you give credit to individuals, we have not created this. It was created elsewhere. Nature creates it. We organize it.
Where does creativity itself come from?
From within your own heart.
How does one overcome the negativity around you?
Others' lives are not in my control, but I can regulate my life. So I at least should not become negative towards someone.
What is the best way for people to rise above that personal criticism?
I often ask these youngsters, suppose you have a problem, fine. Don't put it aside, face it. So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.
Pranam, Daaji, pranam.
Pranam, Kabir Saab. What a welcome. And I'm so happy to have you here at Kanha Santivanam. I knew you only as an actor. Few Hindi movies in my teenage times I used to watch. And later in Octopussy, and then now and then some ads in Sandokan.
Right.
But didn't understand head or tail of it, but quite impressive. And now, having read your book, it has totally changed my mindset of who you are, how a single person and a single individual can go through so much, and any ordinary person, I don't think can withstand the blows. By now, that person would have gone mad, perhaps. Right. And yet you stand taller, physically and emotionally and mentally stable. The most impressive chapters I have gone through in here is something that you cherish as memory of your dear ones, and especially your Baba and your dear mother.
Right.
And their journey from evolution to religion and your own personal spiritual journey. And your family life, your children, your passion for what you really do, that's right. And how you rose from your absolute bankruptcy in the United States and gaining back your stature.
Right.
And of course,
from ruin to resurrection after all the success I'd seen. Yes, that's part of my story.
And very unique rise is this emotional havoc or turbulence or tornadoes that try to uproot you. That's each time, one episode after another episode, and you are like that one of those innocent bystander in the whole equation, and how somebody picks you up and then you are thrown back, and somebody picks you up and you're thrown back. I don't think you intended that.
No, not at
Please,
all. Not at all. It's firstly, thank you for your great appreciation of my book and reading it and understanding it and sharing so much of it, and I'm so grateful for that, because I poured my soul into it, I poured my life into it. And it is absolutely true that many of the things that happened to me were inflicted on me. And it is equally true that I saw great failure after great and enormous success, and I rose from that too. But most of all, I'm so thankful for your reading this book. And I really want to say that I feel very blessed that I'm having this talk with you for the third time. The first time we met, we talked about my book and your book, Designing Destiny,
yes, sir.
Which I also found very inspiring. And it was full of great insights that meant a lot to me. And the second time we met, we talked about beliefs. We talked about meditation, the role of the guru, and the importance of heartfulness, all those things. Today, I hope to talk about some of the deeper truths again. But before I do that, I hope I don't embarrass you with the praise that I'm going to shower you with.
Oh my God.
Because I know you're a very modest person, but when I was invited to come to the Kanha Shantivanam, the headquarters of your Heartfulness meditation centers, I was sure that I'd find an impressive place. But what I have seen has absolutely blown me away. What I'm seeing here is a community that would be envy of any community in the world. It is so incredibly beautiful, firstly. The beauty of its architecture, schools, auditoriums, libraries, the landscaping, the integration between nature and buildings, function and form. There is just something breathtaking about the way it's been done, and in an ecologically friendly and sustainable way. I am in awe of the beauty of the vision that created this, and the extraordinary execution of that vision. But what I'm seeing is just breathtaking, and the plants and the nurseries and the horticulture and everything just made me go, wow. Is this place for real? Have I died and gone to heaven? It's just so beautiful. So I want to congratulate you on that and bow my head in obeisance to what you've created.
Thank you.
Because, when we are actors, we are taught to take a bow. We do a performance, and at the end of a stage play, we go up front and the audience applauds and we all take a bow and we learn to be appreciated for what we've done. So, Daaji, please take a bow for this incredible, wonderful creation that you have.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Where does the inspiration for such creativity come from, Daaji?
It is borrowed.
It is borrowed. Borrowed from where?
From a great grandmaster about whom we talked about, that he is the inventor of Pranahuti, the transmission. And it is because of this transmission that everything gets charged up. Your individual life as a spiritual seeker, more intense your search, more rewarding your experience will be.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, this Pranahuti is not only for human beings, people who meditate in environment like this. Not only nature rubs on them, but also you rub on the nature as well with your spiritual nature.
Right.
And this I learned very indirectly from our Adi Guru, Sri Lalaji, the inventor. Once in 1929, upon the request from his associates, he visited Madhya Pradesh. His place was then in Fatehgarh. So he traveled all the way from there, UP, to Ratlam, a place near Ratlam.
Mm.
And then from there, he went to visit his associates' place where they had settled, settled as a doctor in a government hospital for the natives of that area.
Right.
Even today, you will not find a scooter there. That place is so remote, tribal area. And I see just one or two paragraphs in his diary, in his journal written, that I wish I had a lot of money. I mean, imagine a saint talking like this. And I am at the fag end of my life. And why do I have such a desire? Then he writes, why? He said, this place reminds me of Kakbhushandi's ashram. It is mentioned in Ramayana. And whosoever entered that ashram found liberation. The beauty of this place, the simple people, their lifestyle, their innocence, has attracted me so much at this mature age of mine, and I wish I could do it. So I try to locate the place. I visited that place. But now, unfortunately, almost everything's are gone from there. The pristine beauty that he mentioned, nature, everything is wiped out, except one small stream of water is flowing. And half a dozen trees, ancient old trees, are still there as a sign of the past.
Right.
Then I thought, why not replicate something of that sort somewhere? And he says, the spiritual charge. We human beings, even when bestowed from God, we absorb it, but it does not last long. But plants and trees, they absorb it and keep it. They don't lose even 1% of their spiritual charge.
Right.
If you charge this environment, it will stay forever. Human being, even though meditates consciously, willingly, with interest, it tends to lose and dilute it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that spirit, I thought, why not charge an environment akin to that?
Right. Daaji, it's your great humility that you credit the inspiration for this place to your guru, your predecessor, and his vision and his desire to build a place like this. My question was, in a sense, a larger one. Where does creativity itself come from? Where does even the guru's vision of having a place like that, where does that desire and that vision of having a place like that, the creativity within human beings, where are the well springs of that creativity?
Oh, that is from within your own heart. It keeps on reminding you each time you meditate. It's just like a housewife who's fed up of a single studio.
Right.
And keeps reminding husband, let's move to a better place. Let's move to a better place.
Right.
And he would try hard, earn money to make that possible, to fulfill the dreams of dear ones in the family.
Right.
And seeing the growth of this organization, and when I imagine the future of the system, I see millions of people visiting. And I don't think we can manage to have or accommodate them and provide such spiritual facility in a 20 acres or 30 acres of land. It's not going to happen. We need something mega.
Facilities out here can accommodate so many people. The auditoriums can accommodate so many. The facilities for catering. I saw these food halls where there's chapati making machines that can make 8,000 chapatis
in an hour.
an hour, and you have many such machines. So you have made provision for many people coming in the future, and that's a great vision that you have. And this creativity that is shown in the way this whole Kanna Shantivanam has been created is absolutely extraordinary. And the amazing thing is that so much of this has come from within your organization, from the architects to the people that are building it, to the people that are involved in supervising it, etc., which is a testament to their own awakened creativity. The whole, not just this place, but the whole universe that we see is also an act of immense creation. And we often wonder, where does that come from? What is the source of that incredible creation?
So when you see all this thing and you give credit to individuals, we have not created this. It was created elsewhere. Nature creates it. We organize it.
Right.
If this thing was just allowed to grow in its own way, it will form a jungle. It will become a forest.
Right.
It is the mind that organizes things, like a gardener who knows where to plant which flowering plant or shrub, where to plant this fruiting tree, things like that. You require mind to organize things in life. With thoughts also. Thoughts also acts like seeds.
Thoughts also include desires, expectations.
Everything. That precedes
ambitions.
Thoughts. Ambitions, aspirations, passion. They are the forerunner. And what follows is the thought.
Right.
And what follows after thought, after screening a lot of thoughts, they act like seeds. And you remove unwanted seeds and say, okay, I want to plant only this.
Right.
I want to execute only this action in my life. So you are creating a garden, beautiful garden, where only certain actions are executed. Because through meditation, one becomes so sensitive to weed out unnecessary thoughts. And what remains is what is necessary and what has to be done. And every meditator, many a times the guidance I would get is from a volunteer. Sir, let's do this. And I give them full freedom. Let's do it. If we don't do it, we'll be the loser. That person's talent has been damned somehow. And he will not free to execute what he feels like, which is very creative in nature. So, number one thing, personally from my side, you can ask any of our volunteers or architects or engineers on the ground, even a small guy who is just picking up one plant and putting it somewhere. Sir, it will be better here. I said, go ahead and do it. I just don't interfere. I just say where if something goes wrong, then I say, let's change the course.
So at the level of divine creation, all kinds of energies are manifested, which is positive energies, negative energies, the good, the bad, the evil, the ugly, the power, poverty, health, illness. All these are manifestations of a much larger consciousness. And the role of the human being in this is to make choices. Am I right there? Am I wrong there in terms of the choices that individuals
filter it? Yes.
I saw in one of your magazines when I was at the library a very beautiful quote that said, I don't remember by who, which said, "You are defined more by your choices than by your abilities."
That's so true. It's in everyone's life. Yeah.
And so, what are the factors? Choices also involve decisions. A choice, because before thought becomes concrete, somebody has to take a decision that they will do something about that thought. And therefore, every decision is what sets in motion the process of creation. What are the factors that all of us must think about when making a decision? Because we are all making decisions all the time. Big decisions, small decisions, life-changing decisions, simple decisions. When we come to the important decisions in life, is there some kind of value system? Is there some kind of checklist we should have?
Very simple. I find it very, very simple. One needs some courage to follow one's own heart. You have lived long enough in this world and you have seen much more than any normal human being would have. And when you analyze the whole life, I have also seen that whenever I have gone against my heart, I have suffered. Consequences are dire and one regrets. The burden of regret is immense. So whenever we make decisions, especially the crucial decisions, allow the heart to speak.
Allow the heart to speak.
Yeah. And let courage follow and do the rest.
Right. Yes, because often following your heart does take courage. Yes.
And always it will take courage, because when heart generally does not speak, it remains a silent spectator.
Something very important you said, yes.
It remains very silent. Moment something goes wrong, it warns you. Suddenly, a heart pumping fast when something is wrong, right? Or you might start sweating. That is also because of this increased heart rates. And your heart feels pressurized, your heart feels heavier when something is going wrong. So that's a signal, we should say.
Is there a difference between your conscience and what your heart is saying?
Definitely. Voice of the heart is always the voice of your conscience.
Okay, so it's the same.
It's the same thing. But when we say the voice, that logical voice from my mind, and the conscience that my heart speaks from its depth, ideal situation would be the marriage of both, where the logical mind will agree with the conscience of the heart, and there will be a perfect eclipse of conscience.
Right.
It just juxtaposes itself, and that's the most ideal situation. See.
But often we are not in ideal situations. There is a conflict between what the mind is telling you in terms of what might be better and what your heart is telling you in terms of what is the
I don't think there is a conflict. Conflict does arise in some way, but conflict is because you don't want to listen to your heart.
Right.
That's all. It's very simple. Why is that conflict? Because you want to shut your heart and say, keep quiet. I want to do this.
Yes. That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
And all of us, I mean, at some point or the other in life, we say, heart, please, let me do this. Later on, we'll talk.
Yes. And there are consequences to that because ultimately the heart knows best.
Yeah. And there is no exception to any situation in life where we have gone against the heart. We have paid a big price for it.
What you feel is the purpose to which human beings should strive towards? You could call it the meaning of life, you could call it the purpose of human beings, of human life. What do you see that as? How do you define that? How do you...
Well, the purpose is to, take few small steps each time and become better and better. And I would start with this simple exercise of introspecting my thoughts, introspecting on my actions, and much more than actions and thoughts, introspecting on my inactions.
Introspecting on your inactions.
Yeah, at bedtime.
Right.
Something I could have done and I didn't do.
Right, because inaction speaks sometimes more than action.
Yes, it has very painful consequences.
Yes.
And I when we talk of Gita talks about actions, karma, and all that. Lord Krishna is not going in detail with inaction part of it. He just refers to it. In life also, when we look at our, starting with our school, I wish I had studied that chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, even now, some people, some youngsters, they come up and say, Daaji, I constantly keep seeing dreams that I'm going to exam and I have not prepared myself. Right? Things like that. Something I could have done as my mother was around. I could have pressed her feet. I could have massaged her head. Right? I could have comforted her. But now she's not there. I can't even say sorry for the wrongs I did.
Yes.
So things like that. Something I could have done and I didn't do. So at bedtime, scan your daily activities and see where I went wrong. And next time, if something like this happens again, how to avoid it, how I can become better. And things that you have done nicely, also revisit those things and say, okay, how can I do that even better?
Right.
So there is continuous improvement. From negative, you're coming to positive, and from positive, you're further advancing to even better situations.
Right. So I'm a great believer in positivity, Daaji. I think my positivity has helped me overcome the hardest of situations because I reach out for that inner strength, that positivity, which I saw in my parents who sacrificed so much for India's independence, who changed from revolutionaries to become religious figures. My mother becoming a Buddhist nun, the highest ranked Buddhist nun in the world. My father becoming a philosopher in Italy. And I saw this amazing positivity and compassion within them, which saw them through the hardest of times. And economically, times are very hard at times for us. My question, Daaji, is that so often, even for the most positive person, they're confronted with negativity of people around them. which drags them down, which pulls them down. Because it's impossible to remain a fountain of positivity when people are draining you all the time, you know?
Mm-mm.
How does one overcome the negativity around you? And how does one rise above it to remain positive?
Well, take, for example, your father's life during his freedom fighting days. I mean, his struggle and how many times he was jailed and how many times he was beaten up. And this kept him with this disability. Until the end of his life, he was in wheelchair, as you have mentioned so passionately. Did he slow down with his freedom fighting movement?
No.
Nothing deterred him because of what? That passion, innate passion. Can I control the other person and tell him to shut up and stop portraying his negative idealism? I can't. Others' lives are not in my control, but I can regulate my life. So I at least should not become negative towards someone.
Mm.
And don't allow them to dilute your passion.
What I've seen happening in many lives, Daaji, is not a theoretical thing, but it's not that somebody's positive and somebody's negative and therefore the person should remain positive. The negativity of a person is often directed at the positive person.
With intentions.
With intentions of pulling down their positives. They somehow resent the positivity of others. And that's what I'd like to ask you. What is the best way for people to rise above that personal criticism negativity, that personal negativity that's thrown at them?
Just smile at them and you will rise. You see, they will throw all kinds of negatives. Every time we try to perform what is right, there will be negative forces.
Mm.
Greater than negative forces, a man of strength will come out, emerging even stronger. If you succumb to it, the negative will win.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you fight and prevail, your stature will increase.
Right.
So in a way, I take it as a moral exercise.
Right.
It makes you a strongly moral person.
Are there some souls that have greater force than others? Greater, say, positivity than others?
In a way, yes. And in a way, no. We have been given equal potential. You know, all these people, they fight for equal rights.
Mm-hmm.
They fight for equal rights, you know, women's equality, for example, or the caste equality. These are all negative forces working against their freedom.
Right.
But spiritual potential, when we talk about, no one can stop that. Their inner growth spiritually, no one, including God, can prevent you from prevailing and manifesting your spiritual potential. And that's the main goal, I would say. And once you become so clear with your perception, with your understanding, then you will sail through life in a very easy way.
Right.
Without clarity, life remains full of confusions.
And introspecting and meditating and being in touch with your heart gives you that clarity,
yeah.
A greater clarity. And so the importance of meditation, of being in touch with your heart, your spirit, etc.
So I often ask these youngsters, you know, suppose you have a problem, fine. Don't put it aside, face it. And how are you going to face it? First, you have to accept the problem. Second thing, close your eyes, think about the problem on surface and go to sleep.
Right.
Next day, you again have this exercise mentally, what I should be doing or what I should avoid. And this will open up more clarity. And if you actually meditate on the divine presence in the heart, that itself will guide you. That yes, do this and don't do this.
Right.
And I use this method even in my family life, what I should be sharing with my children, with my wife, with my parents. It's all, as they say, premeditated.
No, the wonderful thing about your teaching is also that you say that people should live in the world while pursuing the spiritual path, like Guru Nanak used to say, like Kabir used to say, like all the great teachers said. But emphasizing that is all important, because so much emphasis has been put by certain religious leaders on abstinence, on celibacy, on leaving families to seek the world. What's very heartwarming in your case is you talk about the need to be in the world and be with the family while seeking your spiritual your path. Daaji, we all have souls and we all have journeys. What is the journey of the soul? How would you describe the journey of the soul from life to life, within each life?
Well, embodied manifestation.
Embodied manifestation.
That we have today has a purpose. We have this physical body behind which there is a very subtle body, right? We have this brain, which is a physical structure. Behind this physical structure, there is a thought process. Behind this heart as a solid structure, there is a feeling process. We continuously keep perceiving things. Mind keeps wandering in many directions. Buddhi or intellect has its own play. Ahankar has its own play. And often our scriptures talk about going against. They say mind is your enemy. They say ego is your enemy. But there can never be a better friend than this. And we make use of these faculties, these inner subtle bodies that we have, and allow them to grow. Actual spiritual journey or pilgrimage inside is not what people think of. It is not visiting this tirtha or that tirtha. It's okay. What do you do by visiting those tirthas? Are you purifying yourself? Are you advancing in your consciousness because of the places
that you go to?
Yeah. But no matter where you go, whether you become ascetic or you become sadhu and leave your family, still your ego will be with you. So whom are you going to tame? Yourself against the environment, or the ego, or the regulation of the mind? So the inner journey
of the soul.
Inner journey of the soul is also very tricky. People say it moves from the basal chakra to the highest chakra. It continuously keep rising up. And they also talk about awakening of the kundalini. And when that happens, you become an awakened person. But these are, to my experiences, these are all absurdities.
Really?
Yes. Because you think of this, Lord Rama from Ramayana epic, he had his kundalini awakened from the very birth, being an avatar Purusha. He was endowed with all nature's gift, nature's powers were at his fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
Ravan also had his kundalini awakened. He was the master of Panchavidyas or Panchabhutas. So, if kundalini was all that to make you a great person, what happened to his wisdom?
Kundalini is rising of a certain energy force within the body, which could be used for good or bad.
It's like giving a knife to a child. Okay. And what do you do in the power games? They're not for spiritual purposes. You want to dominate. Power means you want to use that power. You want to be dominant. Buddhism teaches one fundamental thing: compassion, kindness, love.
It's unmatched in its emphasis on compassion and kindness.
Right? But when you become powerful, you prevail upon someone. And that's the difference between passion and compassion. Passion is where you use others for your gain. Compassion is where you get consumed for the other.
Right.
That's a drastic difference. So any pursuit for power is spiritually wrong approach if you are up to spiritual growth. What I mean by spiritual growth is this. Let us say you have a candle, okay? And this candle has one red color glass. And then you put yellow color glass. Then you put green color glass. Then you keep black color, yellow color. What sort of color will you see emerging out of these filters?
It will not be the color of the candle, certainly.
You have changed the nature of original light.
Right.
And time comes when there are too many layers. You won't see the light.
Right.
That's what is happening because of ignorance, darkness in the hearts of people. They don't see. And each time this light wants to show you the way, you want to put a filter of your own desire. Please keep quiet for a moment.
So you're saying that we can actually interfere with the journey of the soul?
We have always been doing that, interfering all the time, messing up our lives. And the way to allow this light is not to move the candle, but to remove these filters.
Right.
Right? So filters of ignorance. So in a way, when one level or one layer of ignorance is removed, to that extent, you have become wiser. To that extent, your consciousness has improved. To that extent, your perception has increased.
Yes.
And when these many layers are gone, all these layers are gone, it's only candle.
Only the candle.
That is nirvana, that is liberation, that is God realization, that is that ultimate moment. Yeah.
Before getting to that ultimate moment, the soul often has to go through many rebirths.
Why don't you think it's your last?
It could be, but let us say for most, the souls have to go through many lives to find that moment of enlightenment. So the question that arises from that is that obviously when you're reborn, the circumstances in which you're reborn, the energies with which you're surrounded will affect you deeply as a person and also your soul. So what can a human being do to prepare best for that moment of death when the soul moves on?
Well, your lifestyle will prepare you. You know, some people, they say at the last moment, if you remember the Lord, your next birth can be better. Or you might even end up being in the same dimension as that of the Lord. Some truth is there and lot of lies are also there in it. People keep their children's name Krishna or Narayana or Lakshmi, reciting their name or calling, "Hey Narayana, come, I need to get up from the bed," and you die. Is this really recalling the Lord? No.
Not quite, no.
No. You have to, from inside, stir yourself so much that your real self comes out. You see, your inner cry comes out. And you're not going to have the true inner cry at the last moment. You're not used to that inner cry. Right. Your inner thirst. Right? That has to happen from very early. From the moment of conception, it gets going and going, building up its own stamina, building up its own energy and keep moving. And that is lifestyle. See,
that is so beautifully epitomized by when Gandhiji was assassinated and his last words are "Hey Ram," because it was a lifetime of reaching out to Ram that instinctively led him to cry out to Ram and say, "Hey Ram," in that moment of being assassinated, which seemed to me the symbol of a truly religious soul in terms of the way he lived his life for the benefit of others and the way he died with the name of his God on his lips. So the question I asked earlier was, what should a person do best to prepare for that moment of passing on to the next life, so his next life is even more beautiful, even more evolutionary than the life that he's led?
Well, fundamentally, we try and lead a simple and pure life. Don't complicate things in life,
Right.
Yeah, suppose you want to perform a wedding of your son or a daughter, and people love to show off.
They do.
And especially when they don't have, they want to show off. So what do? Borrow money, increase the debt, and this is how they increase the burden on themselves. And when you have so much to happen, you end up doing wrong things to fulfill those desires. So simplify life. Also be in tune with nature. That doesn't mean you live in the trees or, live in the mountains. No. Be in tune with nature means so many things, so many things. Like, if I give you the example of these coconut trees, we don't pour coconut water. Or these mango trees, we don't give mango pulp.
Right.
You simply give cow dung and, the fertilizer,
Right.
water and sunlight. What I mean to say here is, you give the minimum.
Right.
Nature gives the maximum.
Right.
Even buffalo or a cow eats grass, drinks water, and if lucky, you'll get some balanced vitamins also now and then from the owner. Right? And what do they give in return? Milk.
Right.
In nature, everything is giving greater than the input. So I ask fundamental question. We human beings get the best. What is our return? Back to nature or back to another human being?
Right.
Well, everyone has to find an answer, I think, on their own, and see what best can I do. And more fruits it has on the trees. If you see mango, again coming back to the example of mango trees, when there is so much of crop, they bow down.
Right.
The branches come down almost touching the ground. When you see jamun trees, when you see chiku, when you see apple or oranges, and if you analyze the strength in the branches and trunks of these trees, is nowhere you can compare it with acacia, babul, or some teak, or mahogany. They don't yield any fruits. While these weak woods, soft woods, they give the most interesting, nutritious, delicious fruits.
Right.
The strong ones, you cannot even break them. They give nothing except the wood itself. And human nature, as it becomes softer and softer, it yields more and more in the form of these qualities like compassion, kindness, empathy, love. While a hard-hearted, stone-hearted individuals, they grab things. They contribute nothing.
Daaji, we are surrounded, in this beautiful environment with the sound of birds, with nature around us, with the humility that you display, the simplicity that you show. You're a living example of what you say in terms of the creativity you have generated, despite the simplicity of your ways. Because obviously what you're doing, what you're teaching, has touched many people, transformed many lives, because ultimately it's their devotion that has created the means to create everything around you, and you have given them a way which they have shown their appreciation in ways that can manifest your vision, ultimately for the benefit of the community, for the benefit of the people who follow Heartfulness, for the benefit of people who follow a spiritual path. You've created a beautiful, extraordinary environment and a space to be. And I salute that, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity of coming here and visiting you and talking to you again. And I hope this is not the last of our interactions. And I thank you for inviting me, and I salute what you have done. Thank you, Daaji.
Kabir Sahib, your presence itself has brought me so much of joy. The way you were excited to meet Audrey Hepburn in Italy. For us, it's also a similar moment. The hero, the actor who is well known. And more than all that, after having read your book and when I learned, you are one of the bloodline of Guru Nanak Dev. It moves, it stirs my heart. And I tell you why. Because he is one of the hierarchy of the Sahaj Mark system of Paddhati. And he also, I would say, somewhere in 1945, beside other saints, merged completely in Babuji Sahab and said, now you take over. Right. During your lifetime, you will not be able to impress my followers, but that will become the work in the future for you.
How wonderful to hear that. How wonderful to hear that. In my book, I've tried to share my journey in the most interesting way possible, whether triumphs, tragedies, achievements, my fallible side, the intensity of my relationships, what I have gone through, all those things. But at the end of it, one comes to a realization that there has to be peace at the center of one's being in order to exist and flower. And, strangely enough, in this pandemic, which took away so many of the distractions that normally crowd a celebrity's life, I suddenly saw the window of being able to calm myself and put it down as a book and to share my life and to bare my soul and put it down. I'm so touched that you saw that. And I'm equally thrilled to learn of the tradition from which you come, and the lineage that has created this order, and the work that you are seeking to do, which I see around me. It's not theory, it's not wishing, it's actually in practice. A deeply spiritual place has been created with harmony between nature, function and form, great beauty, and I must say I'm privileged to be here, and I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Daaji.
Forward to your visit again. Thank you.
Thank you, Daaji.
Thank you. So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.